In the high-altitude mountain region of western Nepal, green vegetation can be seen only for around 3 to 4 months per year during the summer. The rest of the year the land is mostly dry with no or not much green vegetation. Therefore, people living in this region depend on growing their food for the whole year during a very short time period. That means they never have enough food, vitamins or nutrients and are therefore often malnourished, underweight, thin and weak. In order to address the permanent food shortage in this region, alongside other projects, RITS Nepal has developed and introduced the construction and use of a family-sized high-altitude greenhouse so that people can grow more vegetables for their daily food consumption for significantly longer periods during the year. In these videos, you can see and learn how important the greenhouse has become in this area, how a greenhouse is constructed, how families plant vegetables in their greenhouse, and how they maintain their greenhouse.
हाम्रो ग्रीनहाउस हाम्रो 10 मिटर लम्बाई 5 मिटर चौडाई अनि भएको तपाईसँग जग्गा छ?
The high-altitude greenhouse model RITS Nepal developed is 10 meters long and 5 meters wide. Do you have enough land to build the greenhouse? Yes, I have. How many minutes will it take us to get from your home to your land? We have never checked how long it takes to get there, but it will take about 3 minutes from here. And, beside your total land, can you set aside a piece of land for a greenhouse 10 meters long and 5 meters wide? Yes, I have enough land for this. What about the availability of water near to where the greenhouse is going to be built? How accessible is water for the irrigation of the greenhouse? Do you have to carry the water from nearby? Because if there is not enough water available throughout the year to water the crops in the greenhouse, it will be difficult to grow vegetables. Yes, there is water available throughout the year nearby, though there is not yet a good and permanent water system in place. We need to improve that. But we have water and we can irrigate the crops inside the greenhouse with a long water hose. So then let's go there, measure the land so that we can mark the land and set it aside for the greenhouse with 4 wooden sticks and strings. We will measure it now for the layout. You will have to show me how to measure the land. Yes, we will measure it together. A good thing is that your land faces southward. But in order to have 10 meters length and 5 meters breadth to build the greenhouse, as well as considering the mountainous environment all around, and trying to get the most sun over the course of an average day over the year, we will build the greenhouse facing slightly towards the east. Now, let's measure the land that will be needed for the layout of our standard greenhouse size. Take some wooden sticks to mark the corners of the greenhouse. Yes, this is 10 meters now. Drive the wooden stick into the ground to mark the length of the greenhouse. Yes, this is now a width of 5 meters. Mark it with another wooden stick in the ground to indicate the width of the greenhouse. Is that 5 meters? Yes, this is exactly 5 meters now. So then, let's join the set wooden sticks with strings to mark the outline of the greenhouse. Pull the cord to make it straight. Join the other wooden marker with the strings and push the wooden stick deeper into the ground. Pull the cord straight. The greenhouse area we marked now with the strings is the outer side of the greenhouse. The strings indicate the outside walls, with the greenhouse stone walls being built inward. This marks the outside stone wall. When you start building the stone foundation of the greenhouse, start from here. For the greenhouse foundation, you have to dig 30 centimeters deep, with the foundation wall 45 centimeters wide. The upper part of the back wall of the greenhouse will be raised by 2 meters in height on top of the foundation wall. The upper part of the stone wall will be 40 to 45 centimeters wide, exactly 1 arm length. The depth of the foundation has to be 30 centimeters deep. That is 1 foot deep. Also, do not go outside these marked strings, as otherwise the plastic roof will not be sufficient to cover the greenhouse completely. Furthermore, we will build up to 4 air ventilation windows with wooden shutters, 1 in each greenhouse wall, which can be opened and closed to either keep the heated air inside the greenhouse during colder seasons, or to let the hot air out of the greenhouse through the upper windows in the stone wall toward the north. This will let cooler air into the greenhouse from the lower windows toward the south, to always keep the temperature inside the greenhouse within the correct temperature range. Each ventilation window will be about 60 centimeters or 2 feet long, and about 30 to 40 centimeters or 1 foot high. The greenhouse door will be about 1.8 meters or 6 feet in height. The water will be coming from this side, so build the door on this side. So let us start with the greenhouse construction tomorrow morning. You must start with the greenhouse foundation masonry work. Now tell me in summary what we discussed. What do you need to do to prepare and start the building of your high altitude greenhouse, and what will you need from RITS Nepal to do all that? I think from my family side, we have to provide and prepare the needed wooden beams, stones for the walls, tools like spat and shovel, axe, hammer, and so on. And from RITS Nepal, we need the UV stabilized plastic roof, a water can, the needed nails and hinges, as well as the water sprinkler to water the crops inside the greenhouse, along with the water hose and the training of how to plant and maintain the crops inside the greenhouse. Yes, you are right. RITS Nepal will provide you with the UV stabilized plastic roof, water hose, water can, tap, nails, hinges, and ventilation window metal screens and water sprinkler. RITS Nepal will help your family with all the hardware you need, as you cannot get these things in this remote area. Your job and responsibility is to collect all stones for all the greenhouse walls, the wooden beams for the roof, door, and ventilation windows, to build the door with a lock, and to build the ventilation windows with wooden shutters with the hinges and nails from RITS Nepal, which will allow you to open and close them. If it is a bit narrow on this side, dig a little more here to make the canal for the foundation wall straight. So then, bring the main cornerstones and put one here and the other over there, and then start building the foundation wall up from the ground. Then let's start the foundation masonry work. Tell me how deep you dug the greenhouse foundation. Is it not 30 centimeters? Yes, it is 30 centimeters deep. Now, the greenhouse foundation wall needs to be 45 centimeters thick. 45 centimeters is about 1 arm length, or about 18 inches. Did you know that? The foundation wall has to be 45 centimeters or 18 inches thick because it needs to be strong, as the upper part of the greenhouse wall is built upon it, which will also be 40 to 45 centimeters thick. That enables the UV stabilized plastic roof to be fixed securely on top of the greenhouse wall, which is sloped towards the south, and then held down with mud bags and stones to keep it in place when the wind is blowing.
कति सेन्टिमिटर माथि अब यो जमिन भन्दा माथि कति सम्म माथि बस्छ
And here you will build the greenhouse door, right? At what level from the ground do you put the door? How many centimeters up? I start building the doorstep 1 foot or 30 centimeters up from the ground. Okay, the doorstep is 30 centimeters or 1 foot from the ground up. The door will be about 1.8 meters or 6 feet high. Thus, the north-facing greenhouse wall will be about 2 meters high if we consider the slope of the stone wall. The reason we build the higher, north-facing greenhouse wall 2 meters high and the lower, south-facing greenhouse wall 80 centimeters high is so that we can create a good slope so that the snow in the winter, the rain in the summer, and any other things such as leaves in the autumn can slide down off the roof and keep the UV stabilized plastic cover clean, so as not to obstruct the sunlight heating up the inside of the greenhouse. Also, these heights provide sufficient height and space for people to work inside the greenhouse. Furthermore, we put long wooden beams on top of the higher and lower stone walls and connect them with wooden rafters nailed together to create a solid and strong roof structure which can withstand the strong winds and snow we have here during certain seasons. There has to be a ventilation window, ideally one in each of the 4 stone walls, but at least on 3 sides. One ventilation window should be upwind and one downwind so that efficient air and heat exchange can be created in the summer months. And, with the wooden shutters closed, the inside air can be heated up during the cold winter seasons. Ritz Nepal provides you with the needed chicken wire screens for the ventilation windows and the door, so that no animals can enter through the ventilation windows when they are open. You can install the chicken wire screens outside of the wooden window frame so that you can close the wooden shutters from the inside in the winter to keep the greenhouse warm inside. Do you know why Ritz Nepal, which has 15 years of practical experience in the design and building of high-altitude greenhouses, made the north-facing stone wall 2 meters high and the south-facing stone wall only 80 centimeters high, and why the walls have to be made of solid stones? First of all, it is easy for the snow in the winter and the rain to run off and the leaves in other seasons to fall and clear off the plastic roof. Secondly, the walls are made out of stones because stones are easily and readily available locally, and stones are a very good material to store heat from the sun. This stored heat in the stones is then given off during the night into the greenhouse when the vegetables need more warmth to grow. This is especially important during the winter. That's also why in the colder seasons you close the ventilation windows with the wooden shutters, especially once the sun sets, to keep the heat gathered during the day inside the greenhouse and stored in the stones. Thirdly, the sun heats the soil up during the day, and soil has a good heat storage capacity, releasing the energy stored during a sunny day slowly during the night, enabling the plants and vegetables to keep warmer than ambient temperature outside, which is too cold to grow any vegetables. This all is especially important during the winter time, when there is snow, as in the summer we can grow vegetables for about 3 to 4 months outside in the fields. But the greenhouse enables you to grow vegetables during the colder seasons and the winter, extending the vegetable growing season from 3 to 4 months to about 10 months per year. We put cross beams called rafters at a distance of 80 centimeters to each other from the high stone wall to the lower stone wall. With the greenhouse being 10 meters long and with a distance of approximately 80 centimeters between each rafter, you need about 12 rafters in total. Sometimes you may need 1 or 2 rafters more or less, depending on the exact length of the greenhouse and the kind of rafters you can get. All the rafters must be at an equal slope and height. When this slope is steep enough and equal, snow, water, and leaves slip down the plastic roof easily and fall to the ground, protecting the plastic roof. Do you know why we cut a slope on the end of each rafter? If you cut both ends of the rafters at a slope with an axe, you prevent the plastic roof from tearing easily in case the wind blows hard and the plastic roof is lifted and tossed down. Furthermore, the sloped end surfaces of the rafters provide a good surface to nail the wooden planks we put on top of the plastic roof once the plastic roof is put on. That will hold the plastic roof firmly in its place. We do all this because if the plastic roof is torn and has holes, the stored heat energy inside the greenhouse escapes and cold air comes into the greenhouse and your crops and vegetables don't grow as good as if the warm air is kept inside the greenhouse. In this way, the plastic roof will last for many years and you can more easily grow vegetables in your greenhouse for your family. Also, before we install the UV stabilized plastic roof, we also cover the sloped rafter ends with old and torn cloths you can bring from home. The old cloths are soft and so the plastic roof is well protected from getting ripped and destroyed. Additionally, besides protecting the plastic roof, these old rags which you otherwise only throw away provide additional insulation, keeping the warm air inside the greenhouse and preventing cold air from entering the greenhouse. You can, for example, also bind the old cloths around the end of the rafters after you cut a slope into them, so the cloths hold onto the rafters tightly. With the rest of the old cloths, you can also fill the air gap between the horizontal, long wooden beams and the rafters to improve the insulation and keep the warmth inside the greenhouse. Do you understand how useful such old, thrown-away cloths can be? Pull at every corner with equal strength and press it down. As we have now added the UV-stabilized plastic roof on top of the greenhouse, we start nailing the wooden planks to the ends of each rafter's sloped side, starting at the upper part of the rafters. The reason why we fix wooden planks to the rafters at both ends is that the wooden planks keep the plastic roof strongly fixed to the rafters and the greenhouse, and the wind cannot easily lift the plastic roof and damage or tear it. Once the wooden planks are nailed to the rafters, do not take the nails out anymore, as that can rip the plastic. In this way, the wooden planks increase the protection of the plastic roof, keeping it safe for many years to come. Together, we have now prepared the individual beds inside the greenhouse to get them ready to plant the seeds. But you need to add more manure as fertilizer to the soil. See, the soil here does not contain enough fertilizer. It is light brown in color, indicating that it is not very fertile. Good and fertile soil looks darker. Also, the soil is too dry. So, you need to add and mix more manure into the soil to increase your vegetable production. So, bring more fertilizer and mix it into the soil before we plant the seeds. If the soil you put inside the greenhouse from your fields is not fertile soil, which you can see at its light brown color, you need to add more manure to fertilize the soil. In order to have good and fertile soil, you have to add a substantial amount of manure, which makes the soil look darker, almost black. Mix the manure into the soil and you will see how the soil color gets darker over time. For fertile and rich soil needed for a productive vegetable plantation, you need to add more fertilizer frequently, mixing it in by hand into the soil evenly. Distribute the soil equally like this, as this enables better vegetable production. I brought this new soil from outside. Topsoil, brought from your fields, is not very fertile and has a more light brown color. When you add manure periodically over time, it will take 2 to 3 years to become fertile and become good soil to produce vegetables. You have to mix the soil with manure frequently. Then it will also look darker, almost black. Now we have mixed the manure with the soil and planted some seeds and covered them up with fertile soil. Wait till evening and then sprinkle water on this planted bed, gently but with ample water from the water can you got from Ritz, Nepal. Do not add water with a hose, as with a hose a strong stream of water would flush the newly planted seeds away. Use the provided water can and sprinkle the bed with water. Later, use the provided water sprinkler which spins to add water equally over the whole bed to soak the seeds with plenty of water. Because the sprinkler distributes the water equally and gently on the topsoil, the planted seeds are not washed away. We have now made a model planting bed with seeds already planted, and you have learned how to do it correctly. Now, make another equal planting bed besides this one with a small walking path in between to be able to access each bed easily, to tend to it and look after it. Now this bed is ready to have the seeds planted. We built a small access path, mixed the new soil with manure, so we are now ready to plant the seeds. We will plant onion seeds in this bed. We teach you how to plant the onion seeds, how far apart, and how deep they have to be planted so that they sprout and have the best growing conditions for a good harvest. Do not plant the seeds too deep into the soil, as this would hinder their germination. Also, do not sow the onion seeds like you would sow, for example, wheat seeds in the open field. Vegetable seeds are ideally planted one by one in a well-prepared small grove in the soil at a reasonable distance from each other. Sometimes many seeds drop together into the grove in the soil. So try as best as you can to plant each seed individually for the best growing conditions and results. Best is to count each seed you drop with your fingers slowly into the grove in the soil, to make sure you do not plant several seeds at one time. Why do you use the water can to water the planted seeds? If I use a water hose with lots of pressure and lots of water coming at one time, I wash the soil on top of the planted seeds away, and so destroy the newly planted seeds. Yes, you are right. Watering newly planted seeds, as well as newly germinated plants with a water hose with lots of water and a strong water force, flushes the seeds and newly germinated plants out of the soil, and the seeds and young plants will die. So, if you use the water can with a small and gentle water spray, the seeds and newly germinated plants get the needed water, are safe, and will survive.
अब मल हाल्न सुरु गर्छु है। अब मल कसरी हाल्ने, मल हालेपछि अलिकति हावा पनि जान्छ भनेर अब हामी मल हाल्न सुरु गर्छौं।
Now I want to teach you how to work the manure into the soil so that the soil is well mixed with fertilizer and well aerated, as plants grow much better in well-aerated soil. So, let's start adding manure as fertilizer. Now, tell me once again, why do we add manure as fertilizer to the soil? Adding manure to the soil makes it better, and the plants grow quicker and bigger. We add manure to the soil and dig around the plants to aerate the soil so that more air comes into the soil, which is good for the plant's roots. The plants can grow faster and larger. Can you tell me how far apart you built the rafters? I built the greenhouse based on what the RITS Nepal staff taught me. The rafters have to be about 80 centimeters apart from each other. Some may be a bit further apart from each other, more like 1 meter, but 80 centimeters is what I learned is the best. I cut a slope at the ends of both sides of the rafters and tied old cloths around them so that the plastic roof is protected and does not tear away when the wind is blowing. You protected the ends of the rafters with old cloths to keep the plastic roof safe when there is a lot of snow on the roof in the winter, which is very good. Also, you made the rafters very smooth and straight, and that is also very good. Do you know what the benefits of such smooth rafters are? I made all rafters smooth and straight so that the plastic roof can move back and forth a bit when the wind is blowing without getting torn or damaged because the rafter surfaces are smooth with no sharp corners. Any sharp edges or knots in the rafters increase the likeliness of damage or tears in the plastic roof, which I need to avoid so that it lasts for many years to come. In order to make sure that the UV stabilized plastic roof lasts for at least 5 to 7 years, we have to take several precautionary steps when we build the greenhouse, like you already mentioned, such as making the rafter surface free of knots and sharp edges so the plastic roof cannot get damaged or torn, and to protect the rafter's ends with old cloths as you did. You have learned a lot and have a very good understanding now on how to build a greenhouse. Now you have to maintain it as it is.
अनि यो राम्रो खुलाउनु भएछ, यो राम्रो एकदम ठीक छ किन भन्दाखेरि अब यसले च्यात्दैन पाल किनभने यो एकदम
This is the inside wooden door of the greenhouse, and this is the outside door with a metal net. The inside door we close during the winter season when it is cold to keep the heat gathered in the day inside the greenhouse. Also, we can close and lock this door with a lock to protect the crops from getting stolen and from animals. The outside door of the greenhouse has a metal net. Do you know what the benefits are for this door? Let me explain the benefits of the outside door with the metal netting. When the inside wooden door is closed, the greenhouse is protected from any unwanted intruders such as people who intend to steal vegetables or children who want to play inside the greenhouse, which would destroy the crops. Also, no animals such as goats, cows, or dogs can go into the greenhouse when the wooden door is closed. Thus, the greenhouse is well protected. Also, we keep it in this way during the cold winter months to keep the heat inside the greenhouse. But, for example, in the summer, when the inside wooden door is open, the outside metal door has to be closed so that again there is no easy access to the greenhouse for animals and children. We keep it in this way during the warmer seasons so that cooler, fresh air can enter into the greenhouse and the hot air leaves the greenhouse through the ventilation windows. Now about the hinges of the inside wooden door. For example, if it is raining, there is a chance that the hinges can get wet as the rain can go through the outside door with the metal net, isn't it? So, the hinges can corrode and rust. So what do? Yes, that is right, the hinges can get wet and they can corrode. To prevent that, I regularly add vegetable oil, which keeps them from rusting and keeps them well lubricated to open the door easily without much force. This is one of the several ventilation windows you included when you built the greenhouse. One on this side and one on the opposite side to let the air easily pass through the greenhouse. Can you tell me why RITS Nepal taught you to build these ventilation windows and what are they for? Yes, I know. Let me explain. For example, in spring and summer, when it can get very hot and at times too hot for the plants inside the greenhouse, the ventilation windows on both opposite sides are opened so that the hot air can easily escape and cooler fresh air can enter, providing the right temperature inside the greenhouse for the plants to grow. But when it gets colder, and especially during the 4-month-long winter season, We keep the ventilation windows closed to keep the heat inside the greenhouse for the plants to continue to grow. In this way, we can regulate temperatures all year round and provide the best temperature range for the plants to grow inside the greenhouse, providing us with the best crops possible. Now, the ventilation windows have wooden shutters which are fixed with some hinges to open and close them. Though the hinges are still new now, after some time they may get corroded and rust, and then you can't open and close the ventilation window shutters anymore. So, what do you do to prevent that? There are only two ways to go about that. Either install new hinges or oil them now and then to prevent them from corroding and getting damaged. So, I oil them periodically with vegetable oil to keep them from rusting. In this way, I can open and close the ventilation window shutters easily. Very good, you are right. To oil the hinges periodically is the way to do it correctly. That keeps the hinges of the shutters free from rust, and you can close and open the shutters easily. To get new hinges is not easy in this remote place and too costly. So, it is much better to oil and maintain the hinges periodically and keep them working properly for years to come. You have understood the issues very well and know what to do about them.
अब ग्रीन हाउसको चाहिँ अब यो सबै राम्रो छ हैन अब तपाईहरुले बेला बेलामा हेर्नुपर्ने
Overall, I have to say that your greenhouse is very well built and maintained. You have to make sure that you periodically check the stone walls to ensure there are no loose stones which can fall down and hurt a person working inside the greenhouse or destroy the seedlings and crops. Also, I see that you still have to add old cloths around the sloped edges of the rafters on both sides so that the plastic roof is better protected from sudden wind gusts which can lift the plastic roof up and down, pulling it hard over the sharp edges of the rafters. That can tear the plastic roof or cause holes in the plastic roof. So I suggest that you consider doing certain maintenance works periodically, like when you and your wife come on a daily basis to till, weed, and water the crops. You can at the same time check to see if no stones are loose or have fallen down. Furthermore, there are weekly and monthly maintenance tasks you have to consider, such as checking the rafters weekly for cracks or tears in the plastic roof, and a monthly check of the outside stone walls and hinges for the door and ventilation windows to see if they need repair or are in need to be oiled.
र बेला बेलामा तपाईले अब हप्तामा त्यसपछि आएर अब दैनिक कार्यहरू अब तपाई परिवारले गरिहाल्नुहुन्छ यहाँको गोड्ने मेल्ने त्यसपछि सबै यहाँको
Yes, I will do the periodically needed maintenance works in order to keep our greenhouse in as good a condition as I can. So, I will add old cloths around the edges of the rafters to protect the plastic roof. Also, I will make sure that when it rains a lot and there's the risk of water entering the greenhouse from the outside and causing stones to fall from the wall, I will check and if needed, will repair the damage immediately. Also, at times, the children play outside and around the greenhouse and unintentionally cause a stone to fall. That too I will repair immediately to keep the greenhouse in good shape to avoid the possibilities of a child getting hurt. The spring season has started, so it is not that cold anymore during the days, only during the nights. So, during the day, you can keep the inside wooden door open and close the outside door with the metal netting so that fresh and cooler air can enter the greenhouse and the warmer, hot air can escape through the ventilation windows, keeping the temperature during the day at the correct level. During the night, you still have to close the inside wooden door as well to keep the warmth gathered during the sunny day inside the greenhouse, as the nights are still cold. During the cold winter seasons, from October to March, you can keep both doors closed during the nights as well, and add some thick old cloths and leftover plastic pieces to close the ventilation windows from the inside. Only open the inside door and ventilation windows when the sun is fully out and heating up the inside of the greenhouse. Furthermore, you can make some wooden shutters for the ventilation windows which you can open and close from the inside to keep the warmth inside the greenhouse during the cold seasons. But as of now, the spring season, it is okay to keep the ventilation window open during the day. You have correctly added some bags filled with mud on top of the greenhouse side walls to make sure the plastic roof is tightly and strongly fixed to the greenhouse. That is very good. What you can also do is to add large stones on top of the mud-filled bags to cover the plastic bags completely as the strong sun destroys the plastic bags over time, as they are not made to withstand long periods of strong UV radiation at this high altitude. In that way, the UV-stabilized plastic roof is kept firmly on the greenhouse and will last for many years to come. So, we have looked at and checked in great detail the inside and outside of your greenhouse, and overall, I have to say you have done a very good job in building your high-altitude greenhouse and maintaining it so far. So far, you put everything you learned about building and operating a greenhouse into practice based on the training RITS Nepal provided you. We also taught you that it is important that you try as hard as you can, within your capacity and circumstances, to conduct the daily, weekly, and monthly needed maintenance tasks and repairs periodically, in order to keep your greenhouse in the best possible condition. In that way, you and your family can benefit from the increased crops you can grow throughout the year in your greenhouse. From now on, it is your responsibility to conduct and carry out all the greenhouse-related tasks. If you continue the way you have done so far, your family will benefit greatly in the years to come from the increased vegetable productions possible in your greenhouse. It will improve and strengthen the overall health of your children and your whole household, and you may even be able to sell some vegetables during the winter to some other villages where they do not yet have such greenhouses, creating an important new source of income.